All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is another episode of the College Football Hours presented to you by Herschel Talkers and Angry Scott. We've got a new guest on this week. It's going to be filling in for me. I'm taking more production role. This is Hube for you 247 listeners out there. He was kind enough to join us and fill in. How are we doing today, guys?
Wow.
Pretty good.
Doing great.
Pretty good.
Also, real quick, wanted to give a shout out to our partnership with Talking Dawgs. Anybody wants to look anything, commit into the G recruiting, all topics, great website, great partner of ours. They got their film or forum film study that we post on each week. So we appreciate them. Anything Georgia related, got great articles, all up to date, talking Bama, coaching rumors. So try to join, get a membership with them and join with them. They're a great partner. And then also jumping right into it, we'll look at the probably game of the year for us, game of the week for sure. Georgia versus Alabama, number 3 against number 1. I think for us, it's time to exercise the demons from 2012, 2015, and the rain game, 2017, 2018. I mean, they've basically just been our Achilles heel, and I think all Georgia fans.
Hey, Trey.
Yeah.
What's it in 2017? I only watched the first half of the game. What happened the rest of that game?
I'm not sure. I think they made adjustments and we didn't. And they brought in this kid named Tua Tabagabaga. I don't even say his name, and broke our hearts with a second 26. Thanks for bringing that up.
I watched the first half and I said, look, man, this game is over. I'm wasting my time. He's going to bring in a guy that's never played before. This is a waste of my time. And then in Carolina, when it's overtime, I heard just about it a little bit.
Yeah, thanks for that reminder. You're going to bring up 2018 too, with the backup quarterback got us?
Well, he moved on to Oklahoma, so I don't think I have to do that, right?
Well, anyway, Hugh, you're a big follow the program. What kind of matchups are you looking at, and what are you looking at as kind of like the hopefully the positives?
From my perspective, what our line is going to do, like how are we going to block Will Anderson? Also, like how we're going to attack the DBs. As a DB, I think that Bama's DBs are very, how I term it, mid. They're very mediocre. I know they had a lot of hype coming into the season. They had a lot of experience, performed very well last year. I don't know what's going on with them. Maybe losing Surtain hurt them more than they thought it would. So how Bowers attacks the safeties, how Big O attacks the safeties, and like if our receivers can get some separation, because their DBs are very grabby.
And then from what you read, do you think it's going to be Broderick Jones, or are we going to see Sawyer? I think he practiced today. How do you see that matching up against Will Anderson? And also, I was reading that maybe they'll shift Darnell Washington over.
Yeah, I mean, I am known as a Will Anderson hater on 247 board. I'm not a big Will Anderson guy, but I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. But last year he didn't do anything, so we'll see. I think Broderick getting a lot of playing time might be very beneficial. I think he's probably really elite actually at pass protection. I think with the power aspect of it, though, we got to hope that Jamari's healthy, because that's a big boy. And I think when it comes to like Will just bull rushing, I think that is a better matchup than probably Broderick. I don't think Broderick has the strength to hold up to that right now.
I completely agree. And then how about on the backside on defense? Chris Smith not playing. I guess if he can't play, I know he's got the knee issue, maybe with Dan Jackson. And who do you see maybe kind of shadowing the Williams kid? Because he's definitely a threat, and maybe Mechie, and they're really explosive. And I guess they're down to Trey Sanders as their only running back. They're really banged up, I heard. They got like a wide receiver as the backup.
They have Christian Leary and Demoy Kennedy, converted linebacker. Honestly, I don't know that you bracket. I would just bracket Williams wherever he goes. We're playing a lot of zone this year, so I don't know that it's really necessary to, put someone specifically on him. We've seen what he's done to Kendrick. in one-on-ones last year. The kid's a beast. You can't let him get vertical. He does have some dropsies, but I think the best bet is to make sure that you have somebody over the top, somebody underneath, and frustrate him that way. What you don't want is him to get one-on-one with Brini or one of our safeties going vertical.
And then I know everybody was shocked last week that I think it was 4 minutes left before Alabama actually scored a touchdown. What did you see in maybe some red flags for Alabama against Auburn? I was just completely shocked. I mean, couldn't get the run going. They had like 51 total yards. I know it was at Jordan-Hare, tough environment, but it was a 6-5, Auburn team with a backup quarterback.
6-5 Auburn team. They also beat Ole Miss. I think Auburn has some issues offensively that, Bo Nix going down exacerbated. But I think from my perspective, red flags for them is that right side of that offensive line. I don't know why with the recruiting that Bama's done, they're that terrible. But I would be A gap, B gap blitzing them all day up the middle and coming off that right edge as much as possible, bringing Brini off the edge, corner blitzes, some T stunts, because I don't think they're ready for whatever we're going to throw at them from the outside on that side of the line. Now, Evan Neal is a big boy. I don't know that we're going to get a lot of success on that side, but I would definitely exploit that. In the run game, I think they're going to be very one-dimensional in this game. If they're relying on Trey Sanders, I think he had a Liz Frank injury, and then he had like a hip injury or something from a car accident last year. And then you have a converted receiver and a converted linebacker. They're not going to run the ball. But the thing is, I don't think we're going to be able to run the ball on them either. So it's going to come down to who can make a play through the air. But we're probably going to be able to hold up a little bit better in pass protection than they are.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. How about with offense, maybe for us? I kind of see maybe sorry about that. That Bennett struggled last year. He's definitely improved, had 3 picks, and then a lot of batted down balls in that Bama game. And they were up 24-20, looked great in the first half, and then adjustments. And I guess as Georgia fans, the second half, we've just been non-existent. But yeah. I like Monken. I think he's definitely the best OC Kirby's ever had, and he'll be able to make adjustments over Chaney. I just don't want Kirby to like turtle up and be conservative if we get up. And I was texting Sean earlier. I was like, the best scenario for Georgia. So would you want us to be up again like 21-7, 21-10, or do you want us to like hang around even as Georgia fans, and then they're going to make adjustments and come back? Like, what's the best scenario?
Honestly, I don't think any adjustments they make would make a big difference if we got up big. So in the ideal world, we get up by 3 scores and milk the game. I don't know that if we're containing Williams, they're explosive enough to come back from a 3-score deficit. They struggled to score 10 points in regulation with an Auburn team that's not as good defensively as we are. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know for me, I'll breathe a sigh of relief if we get up by 3 scores. I don't think anybody's good enough to score on us once we're up 3 scores, because it's going to make them one-dimensional, and they're already going to be a one-dimensional team as is.
All right, Sean, you got any questions for Hube? I know you got some. If he's there.
Yeah, I'm definitely still here. And I think actually you kind of hit on the question a little bit about if it made a difference. It seems like throughout Kirby's, regime, I guess, it seems like our philosophy for games have been is that if we've gotten up, we've kind of, gone into almost autopilot in the second half. Mm-hmm. Does that concern you at all if the game is close with Bama? In terms of whether our offense is built to kind of score middle to late into the second halves?
The one thing about Monken I don't worry about is, creating plays and layups. I think from my perspective, it's really Stetson's going to have to have a good game. I'm not the biggest Stetson fan as far as like being quarterback, but I think Monken does a lot of scheming that, gets us layups. And if he hits those layups, it's going to be curtains for Bama because their secondary is suspect at best, in my opinion. And so I think they're giving up like 7 yards an attempt, 64% completion rate. They're not very good. So if we can get those layups, we can get somebody open, get Bowers one-on-one with a safety or a linebacker, get Cook one-on-one with one of those linebackers, just exploit the mismatches. Then I think we'll be good. Even if it's a tight game, I think we have enough weapons to score if we need to.
Okay. Next question. You hit on it a little bit. What's your issue concerning Will Anderson?
Man, he's a beast, bro. like he's long, he's strong, he's athletic, man. And they figure out a way to get him free. He gets a lot of one-on-ones. Like I don't understand how he gets so many one-on-ones with old linemen, but he does. He's like a bull in the china shop. If he ever develops like some finesse moves, he's gonna be held. He's gonna be held to pay. But a lot of it is just pure athleticism and like will that he gets in people's backfields. And they scheme him up. I was looking at something Jake Rowe posted where they did a stunt where he ended up coming from the left side and getting over the old lineman and the center, and center missed him completely. So you just got to figure out, where he is at all times. Because if we're being honest, he's their best pass rusher and he's their biggest threat. And we just got to figure out how to stop that.
Yeah, sure. And I guess as a DB, what do you see, if anything, that how would you describe Stetson Bennett's progression, I guess, from last year to this year? What do you think he's doing this year that's made him more effective?
I think what we're doing is making sure that his reads are simple, trying to make the reads as simple as possible. He's not overthrowing passes. Like, I know that was a big issue for a lot of people with JT last year, was him underthrowing passes. But, let the receiver make a play, at least. And I think that's a big piece of it. But I think learning the offense, knowing where people are, and his ability to extend plays and hit receivers on, those scramble drills has helped him be more effective. But yeah, I think those are the things that as a DB, you gotta be sound in your eye discipline and not fall asleep with us run, pass or thinking we're gonna keep running because he'll pop you over the top if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, sure. And Scott, you had I'm sure you got some comments on this as an outsider looking in. What you got for us?
So I don't know your Georgia Bulldogs like you all know your Georgia Bulldogs, but I'm going to give some. Hube, I don't know you well enough, sir, but if you'd like to hear good comments, and I have some good comments coming, I know it's going to scare Trey to death because he's very much afraid of the boogeyman known as Bama. But look, I've been watching Bama this year, and right now, forget about the talent for a second. Bama would be lucky to win this game, man. They have not been looking good on the field. Like I said, you also have to look at what they've done on the field, not who they can be, but what have they done on the field. Win or lose this game, if they lose by 20 plus, I don't think they're a top 4 team. I look at these last couple games, I'll go back to the Tennessee game. Yeah, they won 52-24, but that was a one score game in the fourth quarter. They screwed around with LSU team that, if Ogeron is his way out, and even though LSU had a chance to win on that, had the ball, a chance to win at the end, let's be honest. That LSU team, I knew they weren't going to do it because it's Bama, but still. And then, they screw around with Arkansas, 7-point victory. And then I look at this Auburn game from last week. I mean, look, man, that's not a great Auburn team. If Bo Nix was healthy, you can tell me that they couldn't go and win that game, but they could have done anything offensively if they didn't have their quarterback limping out there. If he had 2 feet, then I think Auburn goes on to win that game. So, I mean, Georgia, I mean, here's what I believe. I've been watching you all year. They're a team of destiny. I think the spread's 6.5. Really, Georgia should win by 20 plus, you know? And Bryce Young, like right now, I think he probably does go on to win the Heisman, but that isn't because he's just been unreal. I mean, I think they've got offensive line problems. I look at Georgia's D-line, and I mean, Georgia's D-line just been eating up everybody. So, I mean, now Alabama's D-line is great as well. But I look at Georgia's D-line, man, they're going to give him significant issues. And Bryce Young has been fine, but I think he almost wins the Heisman by default because of that last drive. Because I look on Saturday, man, and they're down 10-0. I'm watching the game with my wife. I'm like, I think Auburn's going to win this game. 4 overtimes later, they don't. But, you know, Trey, I know this is going to give you, man. I know Trey, you know, he's got an STD, and I don't know what else you do in your personal life, but I'm talking about scared to death of Bama. Okay. And let me say this, you can't score enough points. I guess there was this NFL team. I don't know if you heard them before. They were up 28-3 late in the third quarter. I'm not sure how that game turned out either.
Why you
cannot score enough points. Okay. You can't score enough points, especially in the first half. If you have 3 minutes left in the fourth, by all means, you know, you can go ahead and put in somebody else. But look, me being Angry Scott here, resident Buckeye fan, I sure as hell will be watching my team play on Saturday. So I don't want to get any Paul Finebaum comments about how Jim Harbaugh is incapable of winning. But I've just been looking, man, how Bama's been playing. This is not the Bama. Put the talent aside for a side. Look at how they've been playing on the field against worse competition. Look how they looked against Arkansas. Georgia dominates Arkansas. Look at it against Auburn, man. I mean, now Auburn's defense, have they been that great this year? Because they sure as hell look. I mean, they had a lockdown corner all day on Saturday. Now they found out a way to pull out that game, and hey, good for them. And so they come to this game. So if they win this, they're going to be in. But I'm just saying, from what I've seen on the field, I know it's still Bama. I get that, and you gotta overcome the boogeyman. Y'all should win by 20 points. That's the way I see it.
I like it. And another thing Sean brought up, one last thing I asked Hube on this. So in the past, Sean always brought up, we kind of played over our head in some of these games, but I know Hube, you follow recruiting really big. Is this like finally Kirby's got his team? I think they might have been the only guy left. Original was Uncle Julian Rochester, but I think actually Kirby signed him too. Do we just have like, I know it's close, better overall talent, better dudes at the end of the day? And Sean always was big on that. He's like, we just got better talent this time, and that's why we should beat them or punch them in the mouth.
You know what? I think what it is really that we have hit on some players where they didn't, right? From an overall talent standpoint, Bama has a higher ranking than us. I think where the difference is the Jordan Davises, the Breenys that have stayed for 5 years, the Chris Smiths, those guys, those glue guys, those guys that weren't highly ranked, that are in their final years of eligibility, so to speak, that, you know, make a team go. And having some freshmen step up is what's helping us win. I mean, it can't be discounted. Ladd and AD, what they did for 3 games. When we didn't have a lot of our receivers available enough or healthy enough to really contribute. But, you know, it's that the diamond in the roughs we're hitting more on, like, because Bama hasn't hit on those diamond in the roughs. Like, other than Mechie, I can't think of someone on their team that's a lowly ranked guy that is doing anything. And they've had so many misses with guys like Alfano, the kid from Maryland that was a pass rusher. Like, these are kids that should be seniors right now or juniors, contributing and destroying things, right? And then the law of attrition, because you have so many, you know, juniors leaving every year from Bama. Whereas Georgia, we had these guys that were juniors that probably would have gotten drafted, not as high as they're probably going to get drafted now, coming back.
All right, Scott, you got, I think Angry Scott's got some questions for you.
Hube, so I wanted to ask you here. So if I've got the point spread at 6.5, where do you see, if you just look on just the talent and just take your, I don't know if this can be done, if you can take your emotion out of the pick,
I'm not
where
emotional.
do you see, where do you see the score? I mean, I'm just looking at it from an objective point of view, but what do you see? I'm assuming you're picking Georgia, but how much of a point spread do you see just based on the talent?
High end, 10 points.
High end, 10 points. Okay.
High end, 10 points. Like I mentioned before, I don't see either team running on the other team. I think this is going to be a passing game. And when you come one dimensional, it doesn't mean, for me, that doesn't mean you're going to get a lot of points. Not with these two coaches, these defensive minded coaches. So I think on the high end, Georgia wins probably 20-10. Low end, probably 17-13. We got to force them to kick field goals. Yeah. There are going to be situations where they're going to hit a play. We can't let them get in the end zone. And if we can keep up the trend of having them score late, like if they score a touchdown late, cool. I'm cool giving them 13 if it's the last minute of the game. Versus, where people are saying there's going to be a 30+ point game between, it's not going to happen. Yeah. It's just not going to happen. I think probably the highest somebody scores in this game is 24. Right. Yeah.
So the one thing I'll say when I look at Stetson Bennett, I know Trey's always concerned about he is who he is, but he's good enough. But can he take you to the next level? Well, maybe with your defense he can. But the good thing I'll say about Georgia is you have a good backup. I don't even know who I don't even know how Alabama's backup quarterback is right now.
Paul Tyson. I looked it up. Hadn't played at all. I'm scared.
Hasn't played at all. Well, okay, that's advantage Georgia. So you got two good quarterbacks, and at least you got some JT that's played for a couple years as well. So I understand. Is that because when I look at the way the Bama's been playing as of late, you just say it's Alabama, it's Nick Saban. This is the SEC championship. Great coach. That's why you say nope. It's just should be at at max 10 points. That question was for Hube. Go ahead.
Yeah, good.
Give me the question again. I'm sorry.
So even with the way that Alabama's been playing as of late, so because it's not like they played world beaters. I mean, I see an LSU team is not who they were. From 2 years ago. I see, Tennessee, yeah, they're better. But, I look at Arkansas, I look at Auburn. These aren't great, great teams. I know Arkansas was a top 25 team. But you just say, so the reason you say it's not going to be more than a 10-point victory, it's just because of Nick Saban, because of the history of Alabama, because they all put it together just for the SEC championship?
Yeah, I think they're going to be amped up. I think there is something to like overlooking your opponent. They probably took it for granted. Losing Jamison Williams in that game at the beginning of the game was brutal. They probably had so many things centered around scheming him open. Because when he goes off, then they're rolling, right? And so I just don't see a situation where they're just going 3 and out all game. They're not scoring or driving down the field. But I also think this is probably going to be in the dink and dunk game. We're playing zone coverage. We're not going to let them get over the top. That's been the big thing all year. I don't know. I don't have the stats on it, but we probably have allowed less than 20 passes over 20 yards. If I might be wrong or right or wrong on that, but I think it's going to be a dink and dunk game. People are going to have to be methodical, which is going to run the clock. And there are going to be some punts and there's going to be some field goals. So I just don't see a situation where if this becomes a one-dimensional game where people are throwing, that this becomes a high-scoring game.
Yeah, well, my concern would be that, hey, if they put it together, then and you have Nick Saban, he's the coach. I'm just thinking that I look at Auburn's defense and they played great on Saturday, but Georgia's got a better defense. Definitely better D line. I look at some of those other teams. That doesn't mean doesn't mean that they won't put it all together for this week. But that was a rivalry game last week. LSU is always a big game, so that's That's just what I see objectively, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. I mean, but also what you have to look at is from this perspective, right? They have improved over the year, right? It's not like Alabama is bad on defense. Their secondary is suspect. To be honest, Alabama reminds me a lot of us last year. We were stout up front in the front seven, but if you could get our linebackers in space or get a one-on-one deep down the field, because we're playing a lot of man, you had an opportunity to make a play. And I think with the scheme that they run, it's a similar situation. Like they are right behind us in run defense. They're like 1 yard per game off of us from run defense. So I think from that perspective, is like both teams are going to try to run regardless. I'll believe it when I see it that Brian Robinson doesn't play. Even if he's not effective, they're going to put him in there to give some body blows. I can't see a situation where Nick Saban lets himself get blown out in a conference championship game.
That only happens in one national championship game. Was it 2018 where they played Clemson?
You have an injured Tua. You have a defensive line with 5 draftees, and you have Justin Ross playing out his mind as a freshman, making catches that he shouldn't be making. You know what I'm saying? Like I always say, Trevor Lawrence needs to give some of his check to Justin Ross in that D line, because they made him look like a first round draft pick, but he was very average in that game. He was off target a lot. Justin Ross got loose because what's the kid's name? I want to say Savion Smith or something, fell down and faked the injury, and he ran in for a touchdown, and then he had that one hander. Like that was just a bad day with Tua being injured. It was just like mistake after mistake after mistake. And it snowballed into a blowout. But I don't think Saban let that happen. Not against Kirby, not against Georgia, not in this conference championship game. No way.
Okay. Well, guys, I have a couple other questions, but I think we can kind of segue into, the next kind of playoff talk and some other coaching changes going on. Do y'all have any other questions right now for Hube?
We can go ahead and make our pick. I think Hube already made his. Everybody want to make a pick?
And Hube, just so we can get it again, give that pick one more time.
Georgia 20-10.
Okay. All right, I'll make mine. We're going to exercise the demons. 2012, 2017, 2018, all the fear and everything. I think this team is close-knit, has bought in, as Kirby says. Kirby, behind closed doors, wants it. I mean, the Florida rant at halftime was great. I just think he wants it. This is the time, as they say. I'm going to go 28-17. I'm even going to say Georgia's going to be up. It might be a late touchdown to make it. I just think we got a little bit more dudes. Stetson's going to be just enough. Might get Pickens, gets a key catch or two as a decoy. But I think the two X factors, two big players of the game, I think James Cook's going to play big and Brock Bowers. So I got 28-17 Dawgs. What you got, Sean?
To me, this could be complete homerism coming through. But I kind of compare the mindset going into this game to be similar to what Michigan's mindset was going into the game last week, where I think we're going to be highly motivated. I think it's going to let us make a few more plays. I honestly think we're probably going to have our best game of the year. And so we're probably going to play a little bit better in the run than we really should against the fourth best rushing defense. I'm going to say it's like 27-13, something like that.
I like it.
So, Sean, would you say that Stetson will make it easy for you?
I hope so. I mean, he did last week, but that was tax. So,
Scott, you can send me if you can find an old Stetson bottle on eBay or whatever, you can send it to me and I'll wear it the rest of the year. Okay.
Oh, I'm sure you will. So you put the Aqua Velvet to the side and get out the Stetson. There's you an Old Spice man.
I got Old Spice.
You guys went completely over my head with that. I didn't even get the.
Hey, Google it. Google. We'll send it to you later. Okay, it's from the 90s.
I think it was an old 90s.
All my jokes are at least 25 years old. Okay, so
Okay.
anyways, look. So I've got Georgia 28-3.
3.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Well, through 4 quarters, though, we'll play 4 quarters. So I'll say Georgia 31-10.
Okay, I like it.
I like it too.
Everybody,
And I think, and Bryce Harper, not to be confused. I'm sorry. Damn it, I said that last week. Bryce Young, not the baseball player Bryce Harper. I think if Georgia D-line goes off, maybe he goes off on a stretcher. I don't want anybody to get hurt, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I think he might win the Heisman just because if they're not quite sure who else to give it because nobody else is taking over the game.
Atlanta's not been kind to Bama QBs versus Georgia. So I've been waiting for him to get knocked out of game. I would never wish injury on a player. But I just don't like if you have Quay or Jalen come up the middle free or Jordan up the middle free and they land on a 5'9", 190-pound kid. I just don't see how he if he gets blindsided, he could probably go to the sideline for a while. Yeah. And if he goes to the sideline for a while, that game, it's going to be 41-10.
Paul Tyson is backup.
Yeah.
So for all you degenerate gamblers out there, we're all picking them to cover. So take that as you will. We're going to transition over to probably the hottest